Hi, Rich Carrubba for bowlingball.com. I'm going to talk to you about another player profile article that we put up that I wrote. It's posted on the internet at bowlingball.com in the Bowlversity section, and then you click on editorials, and the article's about bowling great Barry Asher. Now, I've been doing a series of player profiles on Hall of Fame champions who I knew personally very well through the years. I had the honor of becoming friends with them, knowing them, working with them, socializing, and so on. So I could discuss with you some things that I know don't show up in the media guide. But this time, in writing this article about Barry, in addition to talking about his career accomplishments and his Hall of Fame credentials, I wanted to also do a little interview with Barry and get some ideas or his viewpoints about the industry, about bowling and some things. So I asked him 8 different questions and he gave us 8 different answers, and I'm going to discuss those. Now, please check the Bowlversity section of bowlingball.com and read the article, because I can only do just so much here in a short video, but if you read the article, it'll explain a lot of the career accomplishments of Barry. Now, Barry won 10 PBA titles, but he was so good in a short time that he bowled. Although his career spanned about 10 years on the tour, he didn't bowl very many tournaments each year. So per event, his record is among the very elite in the game. And Barry was a rock solid player. He was always a steady casher, or steadily making the top 24 match play finals in those days. Prior to that, to top 16. When we bowled in the 60s and 70s, if you made the cut, you made the top 16 or the top 24. Barry was a steady performer in that. And also he made the top 5 a number of times. And then, of course, he won 10 titles. But Barry was a solid player. I think I toss him in with the real first power players in the game. He can make that rubber ball talk. If the lane condition called for a deep inside angle, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, bowlers who play the center arrow, or he's a right-handed player, Barry Asher, so he'd play 4th, 5th arrow, or as deep as he needed to go. He can make that rubber ball return and hit and knock those pins down. It was incredible how good he was with a deep inside angle. And in those years, in the 60s and 70s, Barry was considered in the top 3 players who could play that deep inside line. Jim Godman was another PBA Hall of Famer. And of course, the great Don Johnson, whom I've already done an article for and is posted in Bowlversity at our website. Now, Barry also was rock solid. He had a classic approach. He had strong legs, always had good leverage, very powerful release, consistent. He could control his ball speed in the loft over the foul line. He could make that ball roll effectively, and he was a very accurate player. All those things added up make you a Hall of Fame champion, and that's exactly what we saw in Barry. He was very stylish and classy. He was the first guy I knew to wear a vest suit on television. He made 3 shows in a row in the beginning of the 1971 Winter Tour, and he was so trendy in the way he dressed, so stylish. He had sunglasses, all that stuff. He was 5 years before Ernie Schlegel wearing sunglasses on TV, by the way. So Barry was one of the predecessors of making sure that we had a good image and we captured the interest of America on those Pro Bowlers Tour telecasts in those years. Those, I think, were the golden years of the tour, because we were really ramping up. There were no other competitions in town, and if you were any good, you had to go on the tour. So, and Barry stood out. Now, Barry has a wonderful wife, Christy, and a lovely daughter, Kelsey, and his son, Rob. He's a very devoted father. He works real hard in his 2 businesses in Southern California. He's been a great provider. One of Barry's good friends in Southern California is PBA champion Mark Baker. You can catch him in Fountain Valley, California, giving coaching lessons pretty regularly and working with all the local bowlers there to help share their knowledge about the game. But what I want to do is give you a quick rundown of some of these questions and answers that we have in the article. I asked Barry, everyone knows you made it to the PBA Hall of Fame and the ABC Hall of Fame. How did you feel personally when it was announced that he made also the 50 all-time great players of the PBA a couple of years ago? And Barry said he was named as the number 47th player. He said, I was very surprised. I was honored. The committee looked deeply into my accomplishments versus the number of tournaments bowled, and obviously I was elated to receive the news And then he made a joke. He said, and then also the PBA paid for me going, so that made it all the better. And then I asked him, who were the best 3 or 4 players you ever saw and why? And he named Don Johnson at the top, the Kokomo kid. Simply put, he said he was the best in my era. And then Barry said he had the biggest heart under pressure and was most versatile, as well as the nicest guy on tour. Next, Barry named Mark Roth. He said Mark did everything right without looking pretty. The best bowlers have the best swings, and Mark had the best swing. He said, that's it. That's all of it. And then he said, next, of course, I put Dick Weber in his prime. He was clearly dominant. He said, after that, I had Marshall Holman and Pete Weber because they were so fluid. And he said, of course, the great Earl Anthony. He was great because he would sneak up behind you, and he would just beat you. I put Walter Ray Williams and Earl in the same category. He said, I won't rate one over another. But I must say it was not fun to watch these guys because they certainly were doomsday stroking machines. That's the term Barry used. I asked Barry in a previous article we posted at bowlingball.com, and we addressed the topic, are bowling scores too high? And what's your opinion, Barry? And he said, well, when someone's 60 years of age or greater, who are 180 average bowlers can average 215 now, yeah, I'd say the scores are too high. He said there's simply too many 900 series bowled. He said, I saw Bo Burton shoot 869 once years ago, and he was more accurate than anyone I'd ever seen bowl. Yes, scores are too high for a combination of reasons. He says the bowling pins, the bowling balls, and easy lane conditions to hit the pocket. Then I asked Barry, since you have a retail business in a bowling center and one outside the center in Southern California, what can proprietors do to promote the game? And he said, one of my businesses in a center, which allows me to promote the game and with clinics conducted by Mark Baker and I, is to get reduced prices on lineage so we can make the clinics affordable to bowlers, not only to practice and work on their games, but to attend these coaching programs. So he suggests that reducing lineage helps allow pro shop operators to conduct clinics by giving them the lanes for an hour or two whenever they're going to do a clinic, so they can get a couple of competent coaches and they can work with the local bowlers. And he said it's simple. If bowlers don't improve, they'll quit the game and we lose them. So we've got to work together with proprietors to keep everyone's interest captured. Then I asked Barry, what suggestions might you have to help youth bowling programs improve? And he said, we need to pound the pavement, visit schools, need volunteers to work the junior programs, organize leagues, travel with kids to various tournament events. He said all of that. We need to encourage the Junior Bowlers Tour and the team tournaments in general, as well as also promoting high school bowling leagues. We must promote junior gold programs and within the structures of the bowling centers. I asked Barry, who are the bowlers in the PBA today you most enjoy watching perform? And Barry says, well, Chris Barnes is my favorite. He said, I know how much effort he puts into the game, and he has great balance. He said, I also love to watch Tommy Jones. Tommy and Chris each has different swing timing sequences, but both get the results and get to the right spot at the right moment to release the ball. And then Barry said, Bill O'Neill is getting better and better over time and will be the next star player if the PBA has enough time, if it can survive long enough. Mark Baker, Barry's friend, we've referred to a couple times previously, stated to me, and this is what Barry said, that the only thing Bill O'Neill needs to do over the next 10 years is not miss his turn. Pretty good compliment for Bill. I asked Barry, please give us one of your best tips for our bowlingball.com customers on physical game techniques. And Barry says, first movement of the bowling ball when you begin your approach is critical by pushing the ball away like you're handing it to a little child. To make the movement as smooth as possible, push the ball from your shoulder without letting your shoulder follow the ball outward. That was Barry's tip. Now, Barry, I asked him, you also told me you bowled 9 consecutive 700-plus series in league this summer. Do you have any tips for men and women bowlers who are over 60 years of age and beyond? He said, yeah, 2 things. Attend coaching clinics and practice. He said also perhaps try a lighter ball, like a 14 or 15 as opposed to a 16-pound ball. And you don't have to always spend $250 for a new ball. When you can get a ball priced between $150 and $180 that are really good and will save you money. Well, that gives you a little insight into Barry Asher. Barry Asher was certainly a great player and for my money, he's even a better friend. Barry's always had time to spend with people and always had time for his family and friends. It's been a privilege to know Barry over the years, and I hail Barry Asher, one of the great PBA Hall of Fame champions. Thank you.